on mute, right? Fine. So what I'm trying to show is something like we already discussed about how to create a repository. Like we need to go to the dashboard and click on new, through which we can create a repository. And also we discussed about how to add a file from the graphical user interface. That is nothing but the GitHub dashboard. So if you click on add files, we can upload the files over here and try to upload. So right now I want to show you how to do the same thing in the command line interface. That means from the CLI. So the real way of doing this is basically we always upload the code through command line interface commands itself. What is the command line interface to connect to the GitHub? That is nothing but Git. So first of all, you go to the instance and verify whether the Git is installed. If it is not installed, what is the command to install Git? Install Git is the command. Okay. Right now, install the Git. So the next one is something like I want to pull the code which is already there in the repo. So what is the repo? This is the repo. If you want to get the code, go to code, click on HTTPS URL, copy it. And the first command that we need to do is something like git clone the URL. So basically it will download the test repo 1234.git over here. Just do this. A folder named test repo 1234 is created. So if you see here, if you go internal to this folder, all the files regarding the Git repo is there in the local. So the next one is something like being a developer, you want to make some changes to the scripts and upload or push back again over there. That's the day-to-day life of any of the developer or any of the DevOps people, right? So we have developed a code already added to the repo. Again, we want to push it. Now what we need to do? So now either we need to modify the existing ones, like let us modify while loop.sh. So this is like while loop while writing a shell script. So apart from that, like I want to add some echo statements over here. Some extra lines of code has been added. This is to validate GitHub. So I have added a new line in this code. Again, in the package.sh also, I have added one more line. So what is this package.sh? Like I have used one package.sh script. So I'm writing some echo statement or any statement or any updations to the script. This is to validate case with functions. The script is to validate case with functions. Okay, so I have written an echo statement. So in the existing code, I have added two more lines of code. Now the next thing is basically like we need to understand and we need to push the code again over there as a next version of the code with the new lines what we have added. So in order to find what are the new lines which you have added, we need to do git status. If you do git status, it will show what are all the files where I made the updates. Where I made the updates? I made updates in package.sh and while.sh. Similarly, if I want to create a new file as well, touch test.sh. I created one more file as well. Okay, I want to add this as well to the GitHub repo. So for that, what I'm doing, if I do git status, here you see modified files are 2, untracked files are 1. Test.sh is an untracked file, which is never pushed to the GitHub repo. And these are like already there in the GitHub repository. I want to modify them. Okay, so this is the scenario I want to perform. So the next step is basically like I want to add these files and commit them. So in order to add these files, a command is basically git add followed by file name. What is the file name I want to add? Test.sh. Once I add it, so if I do git status again, it will be turned into green in color. Whatever the files that are already added, it will be turned into green in color. What are not added, it will be still in red color. So if I want to add only 2 files, git add package.sh. I don't want to push any code like from in the while.sh as well. Okay. So git status. If you see, I have modified these 2 files. One I have created new, one I have modified. I want to push this code to the repo. Next thing what I need to do, I have added this file. Next one is something like commit. Git commit -m followed by whatever the message, like whatever the changes I have made, we can give modified package.sh and create a new script. It is just like some description what I am trying to do. So I did a commit. Finally, if you want to push the code, so we need to push the code using git push command. If you do git push, it is asking for username and password. So basically, if I pass username, what is the username for it? This is the username. Deepak Harsha 524 is the username. And if you want to pass the password, just pass the password. Okay. But if you see here, after passing the password, it is saying support for the password authentication has been removed on 2021. So couple of years before only support for the password authentication has been removed. So without password, how can we push the code then? Any idea?
Can you repeat the question, Hasan?
So right now I'm saying I want to push the code. Like I made changes, I added the files, committed those files, trying to push them again back to the repository, right? Here it is saying support for the password authentication has been removed. This is the line which we have given. So I have passed username, I have passed the password, but support has been removed. I cannot use username and password. So what is the alternative to connect to the GitHub from the Git, from the local machine? And how do you push the code? Yeah. So you might have used it. SSH authentication is the most commonly used authentication through which we will be connecting to the GitHub. So for that, what we need to do, we should not use the HTTPS URL over here. So for doing the SSH authentication, we should not be using the HTTPS URL. We need to use SSH URL. So for that, what we need to do, let us go a step back. Okay. So again, try to clone it through some HTTPS URL, SSH, sorry, SSH URL. So let us just copy it. What is the command to clone? Git clone, right? So if I do git clone, already with this name, repository is existing. That's why I'm doing rm-rf test repo. So again, I'm doing git clone. It will clone the data. Yes. So what exactly it is saying? So for cloning the data, is it working for you? It hasn't cloned any data. What it is saying, you are not able to connect through to the mission through SSH because I haven't established any SSH connection from this user to that GitHub. So in order to establish SSH connection, we need to generate SSH keys. So in order to generate SSH keys, we need to use the command SSH -keygen. So if I do it, a RSA file will be generated in /root.ssh folder id_RSA. I just press enter without doing anything. I don't want to pass any passphrase. That means like any key, just enter. Same. So an id_RSA, the private key, and id_RSA.pub, the public key, has been generated and it has been stored in root.ssh. So what is my current path? I'm in /root. Let me do to .ssh. What is my current path? root.ssh. In this, what are all the files it generated? id_RSA.pub and id_RSA. So in order to establish connection, what we need to do, go to GitHub and click on your user. This is your user, right? In this, we have settings. Where are the settings? It is at the bottom. Go to settings. Here we have SSH and GPG keys. So here we need to add the SSH key that has been generated over there here so that the connection can be established without any password by not using any password. So I'm deleting the existing key which I have added previously. So I'm adding a new SSH key. So what is the name of the SSH key? I can say Jenkins SSH key, and SSH key begins with SSH -RSA. So right now, do we need to add the public key or a private key? Which one we need to add? There are two. ID underscore RSA is a private key. ID underscore RSA dot pub is a public key. Which one we need to add? We need to add public key because public key by name itself is saying it's a public one. It can be shared to other people. Private key is only for your use, not for other people. Okay. So that's why we need to only transfer public key every time, not a private key anywhere. Okay, let's just copy the public key. Initially, if you remember, it failed. Permission denied, it failed because there is no SSH authentication. Now let us add the public key. Click on add SSH and pass the password. Yeah. So I added the public key. So once it is added, so now the next step is basically to clone the repository. So how do I clone the repository? Let us go back. What is the repository name? So just go to the user. Here you can see what are all the repositories we have. So I can name on this. I want to take this repository and I want to clone it to the local. So now which URL I need to take? I need to take SSH URL. Copy it. Go to your instance. Clear. So let us go to home path. PW. Git clone. Will it work now? It will work because I have added the SSH key over there. That's why it cloned the test repo. So right now the repo has been cloned. So now I want to add some more lines over here. I want to update the script.sh. I'm removing some lines. I'm adding some lines. Echo. This is to validate functions. Okay, I added two files. And apart from that, I also created one more script, touch123.txt or one text file. Okay, I just created one more text file. Okay, now I want to push all these things to the GitHub. Like I made some changes and I also want to push or add the extra file that I have created to the GitHub. So now what I need to do, I need to do git status to get all the status. Like I modified script.sh and I added a new file. Okay. So if I do git diff script.sh, it will show what are all the changes I have made in this file. So if I'm saying git difference script.sh. So initially we used to have echo, this is Harsha. I removed this content. That's why it is showing a minus. Here I have added one more line. This is to validate functions. I added one line. That is why it is showing plus. So that's why after validation, I can do add this file. So how to add it? What is the command? Git add script.sh. If I check the status, one more file will be there. So git add. Similarly, I want to add 123.txt as well. If I say both will be turning into green color. So once it is added, the next one is something like committing. So what is the command to commit? Git commit -m controller. Git commit -m. So what I have modified, I created a new file. This is like a comment I want to add. Created a new file and updated script.sh, modified script.sh. So I have added it. So once it is committed, I want to push the code to the repo. So if I push it, what will happen? It will be pushing the changes to the repository. If I go and check the repository, so do we have test.r123.txt over here? No, right? But I pushed the code. Why don't you see it? Because I haven't refreshed this page. Let me refresh this page. You see 123.txt has been added. And if you see the comment, modified script.sh and created new file. So while committing it, I added this what comment over there, right? That comment will be added over there. What exactly I have done on this one. Similarly, for the script.sh also, it is added the same thing. So when I have made these changes, just now I made changes on both the files. In this way, I can add a new file over here. So is it clear till now? Any questions? No? No. Fine. So one more important,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah.
I understand what you've just done now, but what
Mhm.
I can remember is how to create. I mean, how we connect the Git in
Mhm.
the CLI terminal. I think did we do that last class? I can't remember.
Okay, like right now
How
I
we
just showed
connect,
it to you.
yeah, how we connect Git to the
So the
instance.
GitHub you are saying, right?
Yes.
So like how do you connect Git to the GitHub is your question. Like that is what I
Yes.
showed you. Like there are two types of connection. One is through HTTPS and one is through SSH.
Okay.
So HTTPS, it has been deprecated using username and password. We just can clone using HTTPS. We cannot push it back. If you want to push it back also after cloning the data, we need to use SSH. So in order to use SSH, what I have done, I have generated an SSH key in my local. So how I have generated the SSH key? What is the command? SSH-keygen. If you see, if you remember, I will
Yes.
just, yeah, I think somewhere it is there. Using SSH-keygen, I generated the public key and private key. And I took the public key and copied over there, over here.
And added it to the set. Yeah.
In the settings like SSH key, SSH, and I added that key. So now what exactly happened over there after that? So that could be also a good question to ask. Like, so after that, what will happen? A passwordless authentication will happen between your local instance and the GitHub repo or all the repos where your user belongs to. Okay, from your
Yeah.
local user. So from your local EC2 user only. So right now, which user, from which user I have generated the SSH key? Only root user. Suppose if I log into the EC2 user, can I push the code again over there? Actually, it is no. We cannot push the code from the EC2 user. Why? Because the keys which we have generated is specific to a user. So again, if I want to push it from the EC2 user, again, I need to generate one more SSH key from the EC2 user and get the public key and copy over there as the next one more key over here. So from both users, now then you can push it over there. Right now I added for only for the root user. Okay. So is that your question actually? Like, so do you have an extension for that? Like,
Yes. Yes, that's my question. So do we need to install anything on the instance before we can connect?
exactly. The only thing we need to install in your local is something like GitLab, Git command line interface.
Git
So
command
command
line.
line, yeah, like in order to interact with the GitHub, we need to have Git CLI. So if
Okay.
I say Git for initially for you, like it won't be giving you any response. But if you want to install Git in your machine, what you need to do? Install Git. That's it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's not a service, it's just like command line interface tool. Okay.
Okay.
So that's why we are not starting Git because it's not a server. It's like a command line interface tool through which we will interact to the GitHub server or GitHub cloud, whatever we call it. Okay. So till now what we have done, we updated the code and we pushed the code again. So But one more thing I just want to show is something like where we have pushed the code. We always push the code in the main branch itself. Okay, in real time scenario, it is not the way to push the code. Main branch should not be like, it should be kept ideal. We should not be pushing code to the main branch. So before pushing the code to the main branch, we need to first push the code to the branches which we create, a separate branch with a separate name, take the approval, run all the pipelines over there. If everything is working, then only we need to merge the code to the main branch. That is what the process is all about. So let us see how to create a branch, how to switch from one branch to another, and how to push a code over there, how what is all this approval process is all about. Okay. So right now, if you see here, I'm in the repo. If I say git branch, it will be showing the branch I'm in. I'm in the main branch. If I want to create one more branch, git checkout, you got a story. Like generally in agile methodology, whatever the tasks that you receive is nothing but a story. So if a story is assigned, a story number will be associated with that story. So with that story number, we can create a branch name. Suppose the story number is basically stry1234 or some random number. So we need to create a branch with that story number, and you need to make the corresponding changes based on the story that has been given to you. Here story is nothing but a task. So already some code is existing. You need to make some modifications. That is what given in the story file. So I created a branch story 1234 using the story name. So if I say git branch right now, I'm in story 1234 branch. Okay, I'm not in main branch. How can I say the star indicates where I am in? Okay, so right now if I say all the files will be also there in this branch also. It's not like everywhere the files will be there, right? So now I'm modifying something. I'm removing 123.txt, rm minus rf 123.txt, and I am updating while.sh. I am adding extra echo statements. Okay, ignore the spelling mistake. Update files. Actually, we need to update all the scripts and everything, but right now, for simplicity, I'm writing some echo lines itself. Okay. Now, what are all the modifications I have made? If I say git status, I will see I have deleted one file. I modified while.sh. I want to push that code. Where I will be pushing right now? I'm on branch. I will be pushing my code to the branch itself. I cannot push it to the main because I'm in the branch. So how I need to push a branch, code to the branch? So the steps are almost same. Git add dot, it will add both the files. If I want to add individually, git add 123.txt, git add while.sh also can be done. If I say git add dot, it will add both the files. Again, if I say git status, it will be turned into green color. Okay. Once I did git add, the next one is something like git commit, followed by message. Removed unwanted file. Whatever I did, I just mentioned over there. And I can also mention updated while.sh. Right now, it is not important. I just gave one comment. Once the commit is done, what is the next command? Add, commit, and finally, what is the command? Push. Git push. If I say git push, where it will be pushing? Will it be pushing to the master? Sorry, will it be pushing to the main or the branch which we have created? If I say git push, it won't work.
Branch.
So actually, it won't work for the first time. We need to set the upstream. If you set the upstream from next time onwards, it will be pushing to the branch. So for the first time, we need to run the entire command. Git push set upstream origin entire command. So in the corresponding runs, if you do git push, it will be pushing to the branch for the first, but for the first time, we need to write the upstream as well. So right now it pushed the code to the branch. So if you go over there, what are the things I have done? I removed 123.txt. Will it be removed if I refresh this page? Still I see 123.txt. Why do I see 123.txt? Please, can anyone explain?
It is in the main branch.
Okay. So I have modified my changes in the branch which I have created, not in the main branch. So in main branch, still I have 123.txt. In while.sh also, I haven't added the lines, the echo statement. But where I have pushed my code, I pushed my code in the next branch which I have created. This is the branch. So if you go to this branch, if you select this branch, if you see here, 123.txt got removed. Even while.sh got updated. Remove unwanted file is a comment which I have added, right? If I open while.sh, you can see echo statement which I have added. So what is the next thing you need to do? So now you have written everything. The pipeline will be running on your branches. Now if the code is working properly, then I need to merge this code to the main. So in order to merge this code to the main, we need to create a pull request. So how to create a pull request? Let us go to the main branch. So the next step is basically like we need to create a pull request. In order to create a pull request, we need to basically click on this green button, compare and pull request. So this is the statement, like what are the things. So if you see from the branch story 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it is basically merging it to the main. And we need to add your team members as your reviewers. So who are your team members? Basically in an organization, you will be having your corresponding team members also. Right now, I don't have any members to be adding as a review. That's why I'm not adding it. So basically team members only can approve your request, then only merge will happen. Without that, without approving by your team members, you cannot merge it to the main. That is what the concept is all about. Right now, we have only one account, right? That's why I will be doing both the steps, creating the pull request and also merging also I will be only doing because we have a single account. So right now what I'm trying to do, I clicked on create a pull request. So what happened? So here there are no reviewers added. Generally, if reviewers are added, basically you need to approve it. So you need to just click on approve over here. And once the approve is done, we need to click on merge pull request. This needs to be done by whom? Your team leader or your peers. You should not be just merging the code to the main branch. Okay, some people who are above you will be merging all these changes to the main branch. So in order to merge it, so yeah, someone is asking a question.
How to solve much conflict errors because sometimes.
Can you read out? Can you speak out loud? Like
Sir,
I am not.
how to solve much conflict errors because sometimes it's coming like much conflict when we merge the
Okay.
branch.
There are multiple ways to solve the merge conflicts. One is to like manual, like 90% of the people used to do manual merge conflicts. So if one person has done one thing and another person has done something, like we need to manually fix it. Otherwise, like you need to view the individual lines of the file and see whichever the file you want to update, and based on that we need to resolve the merge conflicts. So we will see that scenario also, like whenever we get a merge conflict we will just do that, but right now it's like a simple straightforward one. I don't want to have any merge conflicts over here. So without having merge conflicts, I am just merging the pull request. This should be done by your manager whom you have requested for an approval. So confirm merge. Once it is merged, what will happen? So you can also delete the branch that you have created. The branch that you have created is also deleted. If you go to the code, you see 123.txt will be removed. And even in the while.sh, in the main branch only you're seeing. In while.sh also, what will happen? The echo statement got added. In this way, the real-time scenario works. So now you have a question, right? So what is your question over here? So while creating the pull request only, there is an option to resolve the merge conflicts. So at that time, you need to manually resolve all the merge conflicts. So it will open two windows for you. So basically, based on that, you just need to resolve it. So any other questions? So this
Like
is
the
how.
part is, how can we do it like we don't have files? No?
That is a pretty good question. What we want to push it over there right now, right? Is that your question?
Yeah, yeah.
So what you have written in the shell script till now, do you have it in your local?
Yeah. Have to check it.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, generally like, so today we will be learning some shell script that we need to push. Tomorrow we will be learning some Terraform code that we need to push. Again, we will be learning some Jenkins configurations, some GitHub configurations. Again, we need to push. So going forward, like we will be pushing a lot of changes to the GitHub repository. So right now we have learned only the basic shell script that we will be pushing over there.
So in real time, we are only single person in a team. We are more than above high level also.
That's why I said like we are not only the single person in the team. That's why we need to create a merge request. If you are only the single person in the team, there is no need to create a branch and merge, right? There is no need to get the approval from your team to merge your code as such. So that's why, like, if you are like multiple members in the team, like every person has to create their individual branches from the main. Once the branch is basically created, he needs to write his own code. Again, take the approval. Like before taking the approval, he needs to run the pipeline on the code. If it is successful on the code without any issues, then he needs to write a pull request. Others will review your code and merge it to the main. So now what is your question?
So like for developer, there is a one this thing their managers are there who is checking the code and if something they told like comment changes they told. So for DevOps also are them their managers are there.
So think like developer, DevOps, everyone is a employee, right? Like it's like a software process which we are following. Okay. So for developers, if they write code in Java, they push it in the separate repository, Java repository they have created for it. For DevOps people, we are writing shell script. That's why we are pushing shell scripts or Terraform code based on our requirement. Okay. So you want to see a Java repository, right? So I want to show it in future, but right now I want to show a simple Java repository also. This is the Java repository. So basically someone has written some Java code over here. Okay. The code will be there in the SRC file. This is a Java code. So basically developer will make changes to this Java code. Again, we will be pushing the code back to the repository. That is what they need to do.
So like developer is a single in a team. Then who will verify that our code, sir, the DevOps person? Sir?
That is what, like, are you saying like DevOps, so developer, there will be multiple people and only in DevOps, there will be only single person. Is it what you are saying?
Yes, sir. Like we are writing Kubernetes code, Terraform. So, but who will like see our code? Because we are only
Are you
there.
thinking like only one person will be working as a DevOps engineer in a
Yes,
team?
yes, sir.
Why it should be like one person? If it's like a bigger project, like will one person be sufficient?
No.
There can be chances that multiple people can be there. Like peer review is the concept which we generally follow. Even if he's having a less experience than you, but third eye, four eye principle is there, na? Like it's not like your two eyes are sufficient to find a defect or issue. Other two eyes are also required to see. That is nothing but a peer review. Your peers will be reviewing it and try to merge the code. It's not, even if you are working alone, your team lead will be there, na? Like he will be understanding the complete project, like what exactly you are doing, like even the Java as well as the infrastructure components and all the DevOps component as such. Like you need to take his rep role. That is the best practice. Okay. Any other questions? So basically, this is what the concept I want to teach to you today, like how to create your own GitHub repository, on how to push your code and how branching works and stuff. So basically, next class we will be integrating this code to the workflow. Workflow means whatever the pipeline or whatever the job which we have created, we will be integrating this code which we have pushed over there and try to pull the code over there and try to perform actions over there. But before that, we need to have good understanding on GitHub, right? That is what our middle class which we have discussed about. So any doubts on this?
Can you revise like once? Like Harsha, like we have created shell scripting files, right? Like
Yeah.
normally where it gets saved to the local or no, it will be in that.
So simple question. You're
Yeah.
asking the same question, right? Like
Yeah.
before also you asked me the same question again. Yeah. So like if you save it in your local, you terminated your instance, what will happen? By
It,
mistake, you got your instance got terminated or it got stopped. It's not, you're not able to connect. Is it fine for you? Think like you have written some script for the production.
yeah.
So what do you feel?
So we'll save it like once we write it.
Where do you save?
Normally I haven't saved it. That's the reason I'm asking. Like I
That is
use.
what I'm saying. You need to save it in the version control system. That is what the version control system is all about, right?
Okay.
So why we need to have version control system? It also maintains multiple versions. It's not like today you have written some code. Is it the final code for the entire lifetime? No, right? There will be some upgrades also you will be doing. Okay, on the existing code. So at that time, we need to maintain some version of the code in the repository. Again, pull the code and update it. Again, push it. Again, pull the code, update it, and push it. If the latest version fails, what you will do? You will be moving back to the older version. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is what the purpose of version control system. It's not only for SH files. It's not only for Terraform files. Whatever the code that you have saved in the local, if it is used for longer purpose or for your lifetime, then what you need to do? You need to create a GitHub repository and push the code over there. But please classify the type of files you are pushing over there. So if you are using for a DevOps, try to classify this is a DevOps repository. If you are using for a shell script, try to classify that's a shell script repository. Or if you are using for a Java application, try to classify as a front end or back end application repository. That's it. Any questions? So try to practice, try to create your GitHub account, try to push all the codes that you have written till now, the SH files and everything needs to be pushed in the GitHub repository. From there, we will see how it will work. Okay. If you have any questions, then we will discuss. The next step would be like, we will be integrating the repositories or the shell script that you have written over there into your, what we call it,
Continuous integration.
before continuous integration, we have a simple jobs, right? We will be integrating in the jobs and try to execute that scripts over there. Okay. Any other questions? That's it, right?
Yeah.
So
The
we will
session.
meet, yeah. So we will meet in our next class. We will discuss about the next topics. The next topics of the job creation. So most probably this entire week we will be working on Jenkins itself, because Jenkins is like the most important topic. So being a DevOps engineer, what is the first tool people expect you to do? CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment or delivery. Okay. So in order to automate CI/CD, we will be using other tools. What are the other tools? Maybe Terraform, maybe Docker, maybe Kubernetes, maybe some other tools, or maybe some cloud. All these tools comes into the picture in the CI/CD process itself. We will be integrating to these tools from the CI/CD itself. There won't be any manual steps from our side. 99% we don't want to try any manual step unless we cannot automate it.
So it's like one-time work, na? One time you need to automate all things. After that, just monitor.
Exactly. So do you think everything can be done in a day?
No.
So we will be working on all these projects for 1 year or something like that. Again, we will be moving to a newer project. Okay. So why 1 year, you may ask me? Like monitoring, all this comes into the picture. It's not like log processing. There are a lot of things that we need to work on. It's not like setting up the infrastructure, done. Like it's not like we are done with that. So finally, we need to understand the requirements from the client and what they want to do, what they want to monitor, what are all the tools they require. Without any manual intervention, you want to know everything. Like if something fails in the middle, so how would you know? Like some of the pod is not running in the Kubernetes. How would you know? Do you go and see, like if some customer complaints, will you see them? Then it will be like biggest collapse or biggest issue that you have created. So no customer should complain to you. Before that, you need to set some alarms.
Yes.
So you should be notified in some dashboard. You should be receiving some mail, some Slack notification. All these things needs to be done. So for that, we will be doing the automation.
Sir, alarms are come in AWS, na? AWS. How?
That is what I'm saying. Don't say like you know one term and you are coinciding the term with AWS.
No, no, sir.
Why
Here,
like I'm just saying like
alarm, budget alarm.
why should not we having an alarm if Jenkins is down? If Jenkins is down, we should have an alarm, right?
Yes.
That's the question, right? If Jenkins pipeline is not running, we should have an alarm, right? It failed in the middle. User should be notified, right? Nobody will be seeing every half an hour like whether it is running successfully or not. So
Sir,
we should be notified if it fails.
sir, I think for that we need to write script.
Yeah, like there are hundreds of ways doing it. Like it's not like one way or zero ways or what. So there are hundreds of ways of doing it. We need to go with an optimal solution and try to do it. That's what our DevOps people will do. Okay. So that's it for today. If we don't have any other questions, like we are good to close.
So what is service now? Sir?
What is?
Service now.
Why service now?
So because in your text of service now.
You read and tell me tomorrow what is service now. Okay. Service now is like no code tool where we will be performing the automations, workflow automations and stuff. So basically, have you heard about HRMS tools?
No.
No, no. Then,
Yeah, I heard like it's like any payroll type.
yeah, payroll types. So there are a lot of tools basically. So I work for the company service now. There I work for, like, I'm not completely a DevOps person. Like I recently switched to Dev as well. Like I don't want to just work on DevOps as well. So for right now, like I am working on Dev for some time. So like for the past 12 years, like I'm working on the DevOps itself. That is what my previous experience. Right now I'm working on service now tool as a Dev.
So service now is like UI part to like RPA.
It's a workflow automation tool.
Okay.
What do you mean by workflow? So if you want to learn more things about it, like Google, learn it.
Yes.
And if you want me to tell you, I will also let you know. It's not like simply like if you join one organization. So what is the first thing you will be doing? You will be getting a laptop. So who will be ordering a laptop?
Me.
You won't be ordering a laptop. Like there will be some IT
Yes, sir.
services people will be ordering a laptop. So
I will.
procurement has to happen. He need to generate an invoice. It needs to go to some people, and from there, again, if the shipment has to be delivered to our account. All these things requires a lot of approvals, processes, and stuff, right? So all these processes are managed by ServiceNow. This is one process. Similarly, we have tools for HRMS, HR tools, and a lot of other tools as well.
Sir, I thought the service now is a ticketing tool, ticket tool. I thought.
Ticketing tool also, like we automate it. Yeah, if you generate a ticket, then only like all the process, like we have a different options that will be populated for each and everything, right? So who will write all the code for you? We are the one.
Sir, it's like Jira.
Jira is a small part which ServiceNow does. ServiceNow has a lot of things. So simply, if you talk about any workflow that industry follows, we are into it. Whether it is onboarding, your procurement, or HR related issues, ticketing, all these things, we are into it.
Sir,
Like
in between DevOps and service now, which is easy, sir?
your wish, like
I'm just asking. This is like,
everything is easy if you know the basics. Okay. So I am not a developer or a DevOps person. I have worked on Java, I have worked on JavaScript, I have worked on development process. I led a team as well in my previous orgs. So I have knowledge on all the tools. I'm like a full stack developer with a DevOps. So I don't feel like which one is easier, which one is tougher. So basically I'm a DevOps engineer because like I worked most of my career, 10 years into the DevOps itself. Right after that, like I moved to the dev. And in between, I work on the DevOps process also. Like all these are easy for me.
sir, one of my friend like working DevOps, he said to me like, I am not working in DevOps. DevOps is a combination of development for operation. I'm working as operation. So is it correct? Like,
People will say a lot of things. Don't think too much. Whatever I am explaining will come into the DevOps itself. Okay. So what people have their own definition of DevOps. I already explained what is DevOps like. So why DevOps came into the picture? Like it's not like we need to work on development part. If you go to any organization, nobody will work on development, operations. If everyone does the same thing, there is no approval that is required. Like I can make changes in the production. I am a developer, I can make changes in the production itself, right? Directly. Why to have a process? In order to follow all these processes, there are different teams. And being a developer, we cannot make some changes in the production. So DevOps is not like you make a development, we will deploy in the production also. Okay. You just need to understand, like, can you write a code in the local and try to deploy? If something happens, like, will you directly change in the production also? No, no. There should be some process that needs to be automated. That is what we do. But people will say like a lot of things. DevOps is not a tool. DevOps is not a process. DevOps is nothing. Like development is easy. DevOps is easy. So a lot of things you will hear, but first go with the process. Learn the tools. Then think which one is better. Okay. So you might have experience on writing some code as well. Like if you have studied in BTech, so definitely you will be learning one of the programming language. Similarly, there are other tools also which we'll learn, other subjects also which we'll learn. We will be learning computer science, we will be learning about CPU, RAM, Linux, and all this stuff. Why it is required for you? Like, will you repair any systems? No, right? So it's like understanding we need to get on all these tools. Then we should go with some specializations. Now we are going with the DevOps specialization. In this DevOps specialization, we won't be learning development part.
sir, one question I have.
Yeah.
Sir, will DevOps are taking DBA jobs because sir, DevOps are like taking backups of database.
So olden days, there used to be DBAs, there used to be operations, there used to be some other teams, production deployment teams. There are a lot of teams. Now everything is managed by DevOps.
Means sir, DBA jobs are going just.
I don't know like they are going or not, but we will be taking care. Okay. So we should have multiple skills. It's not like if I know, like in olden days, people used to work as a Jenkins administrator itself. So if you are a Jenkins administrator, you used to get jobs in big MNCs. One of my previous company, when I worked in Oracle, there used to be a dedicated guy who just used to manage Jenkins. He doesn't know any other tool. Now it doesn't work. We need to work on all the tools, learn all the tools, try to build, try to learn new things as such. Okay.
Sir, how likely we have calls for this in this current situation?
So current situation. So what do you mean by current situation? Like I see markets are good from last 6 months, maybe like couple of months due to war situations, it won't be good. Like from the last 1 month onwards, there are some wars that are going on, right? Maybe because of it may not be good. But going forward, we will be having good number of calls in DevOps. Okay. Any other questions, please? If not, have a nice day, people. And try to learn the process first, and then we can decide like what exactly the main tool we want to learn, whether we want to go with AWS as a main tech or only into DevOps. Or in AWS also, we can also go with as a Kubernetes administrator itself. There are hundreds of things that are available in the market. But first of all, we need to learn all the things, be good at it, and try to prosper over there on that specific technology. So that's it I want to say for today. Thanks, people. Have a nice day.